Hi there, I'm Paul Collins, CEO and co-founder of SkillsTX, and welcome to this demonstration, which is focused on senior executive and people and culture within the organisation. So quite a high-level overview of the solution. So let's have a look at what we've got in this video. So broken down into 5 chapters, high-level overview of the solution, administration and configuration, obviously very important, that you can control the way the system is used. So we'll have a look at that. It's the way that you can align system usage with your current policies. A very key focus of ours is around employee experience and engagement. We'll look at the analytics that we have that supports that, and also the analytics that support data quality and well-being across your workforce. Finally, we'll have a look at strategic workforce planning, again through the lens of analytics. And finally, I'll leave you with an offer for a digital skills maturity assessment done via an online survey that will provide information that will help you build a business case for implementing a competency-based framework and a system like SkillsTX. So let's have a look at the solution overview as a starting point. So we set out to create a system that will help people, organisations and indeed countries succeed in the data economy. And we do that by attracting, engaging, developing your digital and IT professionals through a solution that looks like this. So SkillsTX really made up of 2 core data sets, the skills we have and the skills we need. If you want more details on those, we have other demos in the series. One for the employee user experience, which is about capturing skills, and we have another one around defining requirements. So if you want a deep dive, by all means, have a look. 4 key decision points come from those data sets when we bring them together. When we bring them together, we get gap analysis. So building, obviously an important aspect, what skills do we need to build based on gap analysis. We can link to your learning management solution. We've already got thousands of training courses mapped to the Sophia framework. So if you use any of those training providers, they'll automatically be signposted. So just think of it this way, employee has a skill gap against their current requirement, and within our system we can advise that there's already something available that will help them address that gap. Mobilizing skills, if we know what your complete skill inventory is, we can provide you with the analytics to find the skills across your organization and tap into existing skills. Based on the premise that people are not just a construct of their job title, people acquire skills in all different ways, and we uncover that. We can apply the same logic in recruitment, so buying in skills where you need to bridge a gap very quickly, but basing your recruitment process on the skills that are required in a very precise way. And finally, the same logic in the contingent and contractor workforce. I'll pause there and I'll jump across into administration and configuration for chapter 2. Okay, an important aspect of any talent experience platform is the ability to control how it's used, so it aligns with your internal policies and your culture. So I'm just going to focus on a couple of things here. I'm logged in as an admin, lots of pages down here. They're all very self-explanatory. If I need to know more, I click on this need help, and we've got a very comprehensive help system describing everything that you would need to know. So a couple of things. Let's look at it from an administration point of view. So I'm logged in here with obviously a lot of access. If I come into control and access rights, you can see I've got complete control over the whole system. So not only what admin pages I can see, but what I can do in those pages. So you can very tightly control who can do what in the system. So an important aspect, of course. The other thing that is a key is the features and settings. So this is where you would set how the system operates. I'm not going to go through it all. I'm just going to highlight a couple. We've got a concept of approvals. You can control that from here. You can control what jobs and roles people assign themselves to or can. You can expose our system to candidates. So here you can see there's a sign up page, and we can switch that on and off. And we can even control the type of outputs, whether it's PDF or docx for your users when they download information. And finally, even what you see on the home pages in the user interface. So pretty much set and forget. Of course, you can change this as you adapt, but that's the way we control the system. Let's now look at analytics and the employee experience view. Okay, so chapter 3, employee experience and engagement. Again, from the admin console, you can see we have this embedded analytics. This is Power BI. We make the Power BI model available so you can adapt and change it and merge it maybe with other data, or you can just use it embedded within our system. So here we're looking at the employee experience score. This one is 61. It's given us a description what that means. I've got some headlines down the right hand side, and I can look at this across my leadership team. So what's the employee experience score against each of the leaders and their team? This is not a pulse survey type of employee experience score. This is actually monitoring activity in the system using an algorithm to determine whether your employees are engaged. So if I just click on this, it will give me the deep dive into the different metrics that we're using to calculate that. It's not a simple average, it's actually all weighted. So these are the things that we expect an engaged employee to be using. You know, they've got a current role and job, they have a future one, they're keeping the system up to date, etc. We've got a leadership board where we can look across the leadership, see the scores against each of the teams, and compare one against the other. Not in a critical way, but maybe as a way of, we look down here and we see someone's got a lower score than someone else. We can find out, you know, what it is that a particular leader is doing to engage with their people and propagate that behavior across the other leadership. So nice way of lifting that overall employee experience. So just a quick overview. Obviously there's a lot more to it if we deep dive, but we'll leave it at that and we'll have a look at data quality and well-being. Okay, so Chapter 4, data quality and well-being. Let's look at it from a data quality point of view. So we've got some analytics in the system here that give us some pointers in terms of outliers. So this is actually looking quite good. You can see there's only 2 people here highlighted in red. This is telling me that they've selected quite a lot of skills. It could be perfectly okay. It just gives us an area to focus on. Another aspect of data quality is this concept that we have where we can do 360 against somebody's skill profile. It's totally optional. We start with a self-assessment. It's usually very accurate if we do good comms, and we generally ensure that happens. But what I've got here, you can see over here, I've got this filter. So we've got a concept of an endorsed skill profile. That is something compiled by a third party based on a discussion with an individual. We've got approvals and not approved here. So an approved self-assessed profile is where you're given the ability for leadership to look at someone's skill profile and agree with the skills that have been selected and approve it. So another way of just engaging and collaborating between employees and leadership. So, okay, we're going to continue with the theme now from a well-being perspective. So I've gone into another one of our charts here, and although it looks like a lot of data, this is a force chart representing the assignments of individuals to their skill requirements. Now what I've done, I've focused in on current requirements, so that's basically their current job or role normally, and I'm going to use a percentage slider to look at this data from 2 perspectives. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at anyone that is below a 30% match of their current role. Okay, so I've now got 2 names. If we just look at this from a logical point of view, this means that 70% of the work that these people have to do, they do not have the skills fully developed to do that work. That's probably a very stressful place to be. Now, you might have a lot of support in place to assist these people. On the other hand, if this was just how it happened, you know, once you've got the data, then clearly we need to do something about this, because that is not a good place for these people to be. And now I'm going to look at this from a different perspective. I'm going to look at everybody in the system that is greater than 80%. All right, so looking at this group of people here, life is actually becoming quite easy. They're a very high percentage match against the skills. If these people are ambitious or driven, chances are they're looking for the next challenge. So again, I've got the ability to make some decisions and open up a dialogue with these individuals. And this information can also be seen at the team leader level for their team. So slightly different way of looking at the data, but again, gives them the opportunity to open up that dialogue with their people, either from a stress point of view or from a challenge point of view. Okay, I'll pause and we will go into the final chapter, which is workforce planning. Okay, so I've come across to another page in the analytics. There's many of them, of course. I'm just touching on some of the more obvious ones. So I've set a few filters here. This is a skill gap analysis between individuals and their skill requirement. So I've got all sorts of different filters here, but I've actually selected 3. So I'm saying I want to focus on required skills, you know, the core skills within a requirement, within a job or a role. I'm also interested in the current requirement. So those are the skills that are required here and now to perform the tasks that are needed. And finally, major skill gaps, which is indicating that these people do not have the skill at all. So they haven't got knowledge of the skill, they haven't got proficiency, they just don't have it. And across the top of the page now, I am getting my priority focus and the skills that I need to focus on. So I've got methods and tools, specialist advice, emerging technology monitoring. Obviously highlighting each of these will actually give me a list of the people that need that skill. So you can see a very quick way that I can maybe put a program together or find some training and book it for everyone at the same time. All sorts of different things I can do to address that. Now let's look at it from a much broader point of view, from a workforce planning point of view. We have a slightly different analytic here. So this is a supply-demand chart where we've now factored in all of the skills across the organization, all of the requirements, and we've used a full-time equivalent count against each of those skills. And you can see here, this ribbon chart is presenting to me where, in this case, the requirement is for 39 people with that skill at that level, and I've got 28. There are other cases where green is above red, where I've got an oversupply of skills across the whole organisation. So it doesn't relate to their roles. In this case, it's just the 2 big data sets being compared. I did filter it again on required skills, and I'm only interested where people are fully competent. So can you imagine this would give me a real high-level view in terms of whether I need a massive recruitment or an upskilling campaign. So yeah, a very easy way of understanding how much at risk my organisation is. I'll pause and I'll come back with an offer to help with a business case. So as an organisation that is very much entrenched in assessments, we have an assessment here that we built specifically to help you understand where you are on a digital skills maturity scale. If you scan that QR code or you go to that URL, you can register. It's an organisational style survey. It's going to take around 10 to 15 minutes. It will give you around 50 to 60 pages of advice. It will give you a benchmark score and certainly support the implementation of a talent experience solution. Thanks for your time, and hopefully see you on one of the other demo videos.